Hola collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Voyager class Maximal Leo Prime from the Transformers Legacy Evolution line from Hasbro. So this character is also known as Lio Convoy in Japan, so whatever name you prefer. But we have our standard open packaging here. Really nice artwork of the Lion mode here on the front, and then we have some really cool artwork of the Robot mode here on the side. And then over here we just have one half of that pick for Evolution that they have on the side of all the packages. Not really too much going on the bottom. On the top, just has the logo, and they have moved the QR code for the tech specs to the top of the boxes now instead of on the back. And then spinning it around to the back, we have some nice product shots of the Robot mode and the Lion mode. And then the Evo Fusion gimmick, it looks like he's got flip-out guns in both Robot mode and Lion mode, which is pretty cool. So, really nice packaging. I like it a lot. I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Leo Prime out of the packaging, and honestly, I'm pretty impressed with him. I mean, yes, he does have some kibble hanging in spots, but nothing gets too much in the way. And I think overall, he just looks really solid. I really like his design quite a bit. Very much looks like the original toy and the character from the anime. If you're not familiar, Lio Convoy is from Beast Wars 2, which only came out in Japan. But yeah, he looks really, really cool. I like him a lot. He does have this little bit of kibble here on the back, but it doesn't really get in the way of anything. That's not that big of a deal. Of course, he does have the shoulder pads made out of the lion head on this side, and then kind of like the tail section, back section of the lion over here on this side. I feel like these kind of stack fairly well, and again, form kind of a nice shoulder pad. Don't really get in the way too much. And the lion head over here I don't think is really much of a problem either, so yeah, the biggest thing to me, kibble-wise, is these pieces that hang here off the forearms. I don't really like these at all. I mean, you can kind of get them out of the way as best you can, but they do just kind of hang back there. They tried to make them into a weapon, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but that's the only part that really bothers me. I guess technically they are in a ball joint, so you could probably pop these off. Yeah, they're not really... I'm just going to leave it on there, but I think you probably could if you wanted to. But honestly, you can kind of tuck them back in such a way that you almost can't see them from the front, so it's really not that big of a deal. So let's take a look at the head sculpt. Let me angle the camera up here. I think it looks phenomenal. Now, it's a little hard to see because I will say that these giant shoulder pads do cast a lot of shadow, so I apologize ahead of time. But really, really nice. You have some nice silver paint here on the sides. Nice silver paint there for the face mask. Really nice yellow for the eyes. I think that all looks really sharp. Really nice paint applications here on the chest. All of the red and the blue and the silver. You have the nice little Maximal symbol there. And this panel can open. And I believe that's supposed to be the Matrix inside. And if you saw that one Beast Wars 2 movie where he teamed up with Optimus Primal, or just Convoy, I think it's called Beast Convoy in regular Beast Wars, they did kind of a double Matrix blaster. So this is the Matrix, and it has a little peg there. So if you get a effect piece, you could kind of make it look... I know this is kind of a dinky one, and this didn't come with them. This was the first one I could find. But you can kind of peg an effect piece on there and kind of make it look like he's doing the Matrix blast, which I think is actually pretty cool. It's a nice little attention to detail there. Again, really nice paint applications down here in the waist. You have this really nice kind of metallic gunmetal gray with some gold and blue there that looks really sharp. All of this detail down here on the leg. The red is, I think this is painted here. The red is really nicely painted. All of this silver. The claws are really nicely done. I mean, he has a ton of paint applications, and they all look really sharp. And I just think overall he looks really, really good. Let me angle this back down here. So articulation-wise, head is on a ball joint. You can certainly look side to side, no problem. Look down a little bit, and also his head is kind of on this little panel here, the ball joint is, so you can kind of use that to look down as well. But if you kind of click that back into place, he still can look down a little bit. He can look up a little bit, tilt very slightly side to side, but mostly you're going to be looking side to side with that ball joint. You do have to kind of move these out of the way a little bit, but they kind of rotate back, and they can rotate up, so you can get them out of the way a decent amount to get the full rotation here out of the shoulder joint. So you have a rotation and a hinge out to the side. Again, you just kind of have to navigate this piece that hangs off the back. But you do have a bicep swivel as well. You have 90 degrees there in the elbow. You don't have anything in the wrist. I thought at first that you did, but unfortunately there's no movement in the wrist. But you can see some nice blue paint there on the gray, which I think looks really sharp. Now, I think he's got a waist swivel, so you can do the waist swivel side to side. Nice hips, you can kick out to the side, kick really far forward, kick pretty far backwards as well. It looks like the thigh swivel would be right here where the white meets the metallic part, but it's actually down here in the middle of the thigh. Then you kind of have what looks like it's a double jointed knee, but you have a normal 90 degrees here. The reason this pops out is for the beast mode, but I guess technically if you wanted him to kick forward in the middle of the knee, that's not how knees work, but you could utilize that. But that kind of nicely clicks into place for the robot mode, and then you get the full range of the knee down here, and then you do have some ankle tilt, which is really nice. And then you have these little heels here in the back to help him stand. So all in all, I think the articulation's pretty great. I really like the look of the robot mode. Like I said, my biggest complaint is these pieces that hang off the back, but you can kind of tuck them back in such a way that you don't see them all that much. And I think it's just a pretty solid little robot mode. Now, he's got a ton of these Evo Fusion gimmicks. These pieces here, they want you to flip forward like claws. I don't really think that works all that well, but you can certainly do it. You can also flip the lion leg forward, and it's got this little claw piece in here that you can flip out. And then they want you to kind of situate this under the forearm, and then you've got kind of like two claws here. I appreciate what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make this piece that hangs off the back here relevant. And it's not the worst. Honestly, I would keep these probably flipped in, and if I was going to do anything with the claws, I would just bring these forward and have him use these as claws. Again, it's not great. It's not terrible. For not really doing much for me, but I appreciate that they put that in there just to give it some kind of purpose to hang back there. He also comes with a bunch of tiny guns. So he's got two that look like this. So we've got two of these guns, and then we've got two of these longer guns. And you can do a couple different things with these. So if you want, he can hold these in his hands. I don't think these will fit in here, but these ones will. So you could pop this in here. And then I think if you wanted, you can put these in these. Yeah, so you could peg that in there. So if you wanted to have both of the guns accessible, you could do that. And you can do that on both sides, obviously. So you can do that with the guns. They are going to come into play again in the lion mode, which we'll get into after we transform. But the other thing you can do is you can lift this up, and the longer guns you can actually store in here. So you can see that there is a tab slot right there and a tab right there. This would peg into the tab slot, and then the tab would fit right there. So it's a little difficult to get them in there, I will admit. But you can pop this in here. That actually wasn't too bad. I'm only going to do one for now because I need to keep them out to show you how they work in the lion mode. Because if you peg them both in here and then do the transformation into lion mode, they are not accessible very easily. So if you're going to use them in the lion mode, I would definitely leave them out. And if you don't really care about them at all, I got to be honest, none of the guns really do much for me. I'll probably store these two in here and then just forget about them. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to leave them out for right now. But you can store both of them in this little section right here, which just kind of sits along the back. So yeah, pretty solid robot mode. He does have a little bit of kibble, but I actually think it kind of works for him. And I absolutely love the color scheme. I think they nailed that. So many great paint applications. All in all, it just looks really sharp. And I like all of that a lot. So let's go ahead, let's get into transformation. So the transformation is actually really neat. We're going to start by flipping up these shoulder panels like I showed you earlier. Actually, for the lion, you have to slide the headpiece out just a little bit. And you can kind of see, maybe you can't see, but there's a red piece on a hinge right here. And that's where it slides in and out. So you just slide that out a little bit. That'll give you the clearance to flip this up. And then this whole section, not this piece, But this whole section will rotate around. And just make sure that everything else is out of the way. Lift that up. And then this will rotate around this piece. So this doesn't move, but you can see that this whole like gold colored piece here rotates around, and then that'll sit down like that, which I thought was kind of neat. So then we're going to come to the arms. We are going to rotate them at the bicep 180 degrees, and then you can flip up the fist piece like so. So bring this down again, rotate this around, flip this up like that, and then just kind of get these out to the side. We are going to open up the chest. So not this piece I showed previously, but the entire chest will actually open up. So it's a little difficult to get it to do so, but I promise it can. There we go. So we'll open this up like this. You're going to flip the head down into the chest cavity, and then you're actually going to pull the entire chest cavity out. So you can see how there's kind of a seam that goes around there. You want to flip that out and just make sure that it can clear these two doors. So flip this all the way out, spin that 180 degrees, and then push that back up like that. And that's going to form kind of the underbelly of the lion, which I thought was really neat. I thought that was really, really cool. So next, you're going to take this, and you're actually going to use this hinge here to flip this completely out to the side, like this. And then you want to flip down these main pieces that were on the back of his forearms. So flip them out. This is going to fold all the way up, and you can see that there's a little tab slot right here, and that is going to tab into that tab right there. So this whole section is going to come up and tab in to the lion head like that. So bring this up and tab that in underneath like so. There we go. Okay. And you kind of just want to make sure everything is in position. These will kind of rotate around on these little ball joints, and that's why you want to move the main pieces out of the way, because you need the clearance. So you're going to bring these pieces in, and they are going to clip together underneath here like this. So make sure that's all clipped in up there. This is going to come around, and you can see that there's a tab right there and a little tab spot right there. So just bring this in and tab that into place on the side. So once again, we're going to rotate this around, and you'll want to flip the leg out so that you can bring this around, and that will tab in to the side right here. Okay, so when you're done, these should all be tabbed in, and then you'll want to go ahead and bring the main pieces back down, and they'll click into place. And you can see how they're kind of really nicely flush with this area, which I think looks really cool. And then you're just going to rotate the front lion paws around 180 degrees like so. So that's kind of the whole front section of the lion, which I actually think looks pretty cool. And I apologize, this guy's very stark white, so I apologize if it's thrown off the white balance of my camera. So the legs are pretty simple to do. We're going to straighten out the legs. We're going to fold in these heels on the back. We are going to spin them around 180 degrees at the thigh, and then we are going to unhook that joint I talked about with the knee, and just bring this straight up like this. And then these are actually going to spin right here. You can see that there's kind of a diagonal cut, and you can see the mushroom peg right there. So that's going to spin around like that. So unhook this knee joint, bring this up, rotate that around on the diagonal cut, and then you're just going to kind of bring the legs down like this. And you can already see that's kind of the back of the lion there. You're going to take this piece here and flip the little tail out. This section is going to rotate down and in, and you can see that there are these 4 tabs, and they're going to tab in there, and then 2 on the other side as well. So this is going to rotate down. Oh, I apologize. They don't peg in there. They peg in up here. And let me bring this in. So they're going to tab up in this section here. So I think one goes there and one goes there. But it's very obvious. Like, you just bring this in. This will come in just like that. And you can see how it kind of perfectly fits the main piece here. And then this is just going to come down. And you'll just push that down, or it'll tab right in where it's supposed to. Then you're going to do the same thing with this piece, which is going to come down. And there you go. There is your White Lion. Honestly, I'm very impressed with how sleek and kind of seamless the body looks here. Like, yeah, you can see the seams, but I just mean it really flows and feels continuous. Like, it's a really nice fit. Like, even the underbelly here is a nice solid piece. I feel like they did a really good job. You can't really see the robot mode that much, especially in this section. Like, yes, you can see the robot waist here, and you can see the knees and stuff here on the back. But, for the most part, they did a pretty excellent job of covering this all up. You can open up the lion mouth. It's a little difficult to do, but you can do it. So there we go. Open that up. The eyes look a little lifeless, I will say, but I still think it's okay. And I think they did such a good job of having all the main pieces kind of line up and look like they flow naturally together. Nothing looks disjointed. I'm honestly pretty impressed with the lion mode. I didn't really know what to expect. But especially here in the body, I feel like it's hard to realize that this turns into a robot with a completely different midsection. Like, it's not just like, oh, I rotated it, 90 degrees and then covered it up with a panel or something. Like, they did a pretty good job with this. So I think that actually looks really, really good. Alright, so in lion mode, he's got pretty much the same articulation in the legs that he had in robot mode, because it's basically utilizing the same legs. So you have out to the side hinge, you have the forward and back hinge. You can utilize the thigh swivel there. The knees are now going to work like this. So you have that movement there. You do still have the ankle tilts. They have moved around so that he can still absolutely use the ankle tilts. And then you have that other kind of swivel up here. So that's kind of nice. Up here, there's not too much going on. Because this all clicks in place, you can't really do much. You can kind of move these up and down, and you can rotate these side to side. That's pretty much it. I guess if you wanted to still flip out these claws, you could, but I don't really see the point in it. And then, like I pointed out previously, you can open and close the mouth, and that clicks back up there like that. So not a ton of articulation in this mode, but I still think he looks good. And then he's got those kind of goofy Evo Fusion gimmicks. So you can lift up the mane. If you grab onto these pieces right here, they will flip up, and then you can take those smaller guns and peg them in right here and here. I think that looks super goofy, but if you love it, that's fine. You can just completely rotate them back in and store them in there. You can also take these guns and peg them into these little slits on the side. So pop those in there, and then if you wanted, you could deploy these. So now he's got 4 guns, but he can only really shoot up at a 45-degree angle. He can't shoot anything in front of him because they don't rotate that way, I guess, unless he's kind of charging with his head down, I guess. Yeah, they just, like I said, they don't really do anything for me, but it is something that can be done, so I wanted to show it off. Honestly, I just put these in here and then rotate that away, and that's gone. And then, like I said before, if you had these stored inside still, they'd actually be in this section here, so they are not easily accessible in the lion mode. So if you have them stored inside, you absolutely can still keep them in there for the transformation, but you're not going to be able to access them easily when he's in lion mode. So more than likely, I will store these 2 in here, store those 2 in there, and then never really look at them again. But at least these are easily deployable if you'd like to utilize them. Or, I mean, I don't mind having him just hold one of these in robot mode, but this whole Evo Fusion thing with the mane. I don't. I mean, I guess technically you could flip this around and peg one of the guns in here. But again, only at a 45. I guess technically you could shoot down at a 45-degree angle too. But yeah, I don't know. Not for me. If you love them, by all means, enjoy. I don't need these Evo Fusion gimmicks. Like, I like the one so far, I think, for Hot Shot, because that was a feature his original toy had. Most of the others have been kind of a swing and a miss for me, but I do really like this Lion mode. I like Leo Prime a lot. I think he looks really, really good, especially the robot mode. So many really nice, sharp-looking paint applications, especially on the head and the chest and down here in the crotch, even down here into the legs and the claws for the lion. It's all really, really sharp paint. Looks phenomenal. It's a great color scheme. Just overall, I think the robot mode looks top-notch. The only part I don't love are these pieces that hang off here at the back of the forearm, but you can kind of position them in a way that they don't really get in the way, or you can't even really see them that much in the robot mode from certain angles. You can still get good posability out of the arm. They don't really get in the way all that much. They're just kind of weird, just hanging off the back. But they did kind of go out of the way to try to make this into a weapon, to try to integrate them so they weren't so weirdly just hanging there, which I appreciate. Again, personally, it's not for me, but I appreciate that they tried to do something with them so they're not just weirdly hanging there on the back. But overall, I think the robot mode looks really, really good. I also really like how this can open up, and it has that matrix in there with the little spot for the blast effect, so you can pull off that matrix blaster that we saw in that movie, which I think is really, really cool. Transformation is actually really, really neat, in my opinion. I like the way that the head kind of folds into the chest, and then the chest piece rotates around to become the underbelly of the lion, and the way that all these pieces kind of snap into place. When you have the completed lion mode, it's really sleek and streamlined, and I think that works really, really well. Just really, really nicely engineered. I think that looks really, really cool. You could probably have another character ride on his back if you wanted to. Just really, really nice. Like I said, there's really not too much to complain about with this guy. I think the robot mode looks nice. I think the lion mode looks really great as well. And the transformation is not too difficult. It's very easy to go back and forth and really kind of neatly engineered. It's also really nice to just get an affordable version of this character, because there haven't been a ton of Leo Convoys, or Leo Prime, whatever you'd like to call them. I mean, there was the original Japanese toy, which at this point would be very expensive, even if you found a reissue it somewhere. And then there was the Masterpiece, which again is an expensive figure. So to just get a nice, solid, reliable version of Leo Prime, Leo Convoy, whatever you'd like to call them, for around $30, I think is a win. And I think it's really nice to have this great version of this character in a nice, affordable, accessible way. And he looks great. I mean, this robot mode really, really looks great. The more I look at it, I just drink in all the paint and the color scheme, and it just really looks phenomenal. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.